And the most important question in technology today is not that how to make these algorithms cheaper, faster, or more accurate. It is about who governs them. And here we are with the three most important numbers. Based on the Stanford AI Index, about 78% have started deploying artificial intelligence system. And based on the IAPP governance report, which is an ethical AI governance body, says that 23.5% doesn't have the proper expertise to the AI governance, which is a primary barrier to responsible AI implementation, which gives only 1.5% of them only possess the expertise to AI governance. So, is this a technological gap? Of course not. This is a governance crisis, and it is happening in real time. So, I made a decision. So this decision is what the entire talk is about. I started learning about neural networks, so I know how overfitting looks like. I know how bias enters a data set at the moment of collection, not at the moment of deployment. That being said, I came up with one specific argument, and that is biased data. When you train a model with a biased input, it is going to give you a biased output. But the most important question is that where do you get this data from? From which community, from what documentation, reviewed under what legal obligation? Now, this is not a technology crisis. Once again, this is a data governance crisis. I built a product called the Grademaster AI. So it is a tool for the professors, making their work easier. It grades the students' assignments, okay? And the most important feature in this tool is not the automation feature. It is the override button, because it gives the professor the ability to go like, I do not agree with the judgment of AI. Here is my judgment instead. So that makes this system as a human-centric system. A human-centric system isn't the one that works for us. It's the one that answers to us. It submits to us. And that final say that is given to the human beings, the final authority, is the world's powerful law for artificial intelligence. And now it is being given at a large scale. So when I talk about the world's major law, the EU AI Act, but before talking about this major law, let me talk about the most two important accomplishments that I did. The one is UN SDG Hackathon. I competed at the Sustainable Development Goal Hackathon, and I came up with a technical prototype to solve the UN problem statements, such as reducing the inequalities, protecting the planet, and so on. Why did I win the hackathon? Is it because of the technical prototype? Of course not. The foremost important thing is I put myself into the shoes of people and empathize them and understand them, and then I build the product. That made the difference. Another one is the Hero's Path. In Gyan Disha Research Expo, I built the Hero's Path, which rebuilt the agencies to give the people their own power. And that research, third prize. So, the technical fluency meets the policy literacy. What happens is this is the result. We don't need people, more people to build the engine. We need more people to make sure they understand how this engine works and make decisions on democratic accountability and authority. And that's how my journey transitioned from engineering to technical governance. So when we talk about the specific EU AI Act, which is the first comprehensive major law made by the European Commission, it says that if your company makes an artificial intelligence system, it is making decision for millions of people, right? So here are the set of rules and regulations that they must follow. And this EU AI Act is being enforced real time right now. So this traffic code, the most important one is the Article 10. I keep coming back to this plain terms. It says that, again, your AI system is making high-stake decisions. It might be in any firm, healthcare, it might be bail or education or anything. Make sure that your data is accurate, representative, and bias-checked in real time. So we need people in the table to look at the data and verify that. That makes the difference. Why? Because before this act is enforced, there are so many issues that has happened. These are the documented harms. And as I say one by one, I want you to ask yourself one question. If AI Article 10 is enforced right now, what would have been the documented harm which is present here could have been prevented? The first one is Amazon. The CV tool was scraped after it was found out that it was downgrading the women's CV because it was trained with the past hiring data of male-dominated industry. The second one, MIT Media Labs, 2018. The facial recognition system showed 34% higher error rate for the darker-skinned women over lighter-skinned men. The data governance is absent. Once again, the Compass algorithm. It showed in the US criminal sentencing, it flagged mistakenly 2 times more for the black defendants over the white ones. Historical disparities. This shows that the data is not representative for the population it was deployed for. So, answering the earlier question, if the regulations have been enforced, we could have prevented each and every one I said now. But you know what? These rules and regulations are not going to enforce itself. We need people to look at the model. We need people to look at the model and simply not say that the model is compliant. Let's go next. No, that's not how it works. People have to raise questions, and that is where technical literacy meets the policy literacy. AI governance is not a soft layer which is kept on top of AI development. It is the load-bearing architecture. So, EU AI Act is just one country's law in Europe, right? In Europe. But if you take in global level about how decision-making is happening around the globe, let's talk about September 2024, Global Digital Compact. Now, this happened when 193 nations came together. For the first time, they agreed for something. They agreed for the digital protection, digital data protection, and including the artificial intelligence. They came up with one compromise, one promise, that the benefits of artificial intelligence do not belong to one powerful country or any companies. It belongs to everybody. The UN went even further by establishing 2 permanent bodies in order to make the binding decisions for artificial intelligence. One is the UN AI Scientific Panel, another one is Global AI Dialogue. UN AI Scientific Panel is when the 40 member states of the United Nations came together, again, when the artificial intelligence research meets the international laws and policy, because the government has to know about why they take the decisions, then they have to know about the technology. So they have to have a clear understanding of technology before taking a decision. And the global AI dialogue is when the nations again come together, discuss, negotiate about the terms and conditions of artificial intelligence. This happens every year. And this global AI dialogue is going to be constituted on July 2026 in Geneva. So, why these discussions must happen? Every nation come together, and one thing became painfully clear because everyone had different ideas on how AI should work. Because they have different economy, different history, different power. On the other hand, AI is making life-changing decisions for peoples. So what now? We need to understand who serves this table as technical advisors, policy architects, strategic designer, technical enough to question the model specification, legally literate enough to navigate a treaty, strategic enough to understand, does this framework work for this set of people or not? And that is the gap between the institution being built and the people qualifying them is exactly the gap I want to build. The bridge that I want to build. I didn't fit into the system. I thought maybe I didn't fit into the system that I was trained for. I didn't fit into the system, but you know what? The system is doing exactly what it was supposed to do. It is supposed to produce a standardized output. But it is not designed for someone who looks at the standardized output and say, who does this leave out? My father told me, if you don't fit into the system, you don't go clash against it. You become the architect of your own. So when I see these 200 countries coming together, making technology laws, which their own government fully doesn't understand, and another part, you know, the people is the only one getting affected by this whole process, the whole pipeline. For example, the pawn is the people. They are powerless to make any decisions. And the rook are the policy architects. They can go anywhere, one direction at a time. The bishop, they can go diagonally. These are the engineers. They can do anything they want. They can define a problem statement, brainstorm the solution, make a prototype, test it, iterate it, instead of optimizing that the AI does. But the problem is the three silos, the three pieces never communicates what they want. So that's why the fulfillment is never completed. So that's why we need someone who understands both the technical expertise and the policy architect. Both the qualifications should be there, and that gap is the queen. So when this comes, checkmate. So what I'm saying is, technical literacy has to meet the policy literacy in order to create a better data governance expert. The system was not built for me, so I'm building the room of my own. My name is Bhumisha, and I'm building the intersection between the artificial intelligence and the data governance, policy literacy, and the EU AI Act is being enforced. The global AI dialogue is going to be happening on Geneva, July 2026. The most important question is who is in the room writing it. Thank you.
感谢苏卡夏同学为我们带来如此震撼性、具启发性的结尾，教导很多个再复杂的题中，我 下这贵的合理。
Do you hear any music?
没有 music。
Now it's time to bring our speakers together for a candid conversation in our open panel discussion. Please join me in welcoming our moderator, Dr. Sajana from the International Business Administration Program, to lead this afternoon's panel.
现在是时候让我们的演讲者齐聚一堂，进行一场坦诚的对话。请和我们一起欢迎来自国际商务管理学系的施娜达博士担任我们的主持人，他将主持今天下午的公开小组讨论。
Earlier, we sent out a QR code via email for topic submission.
由于时间有限的关系，我们希望直接能回应观众的声音。先前我们透过邮件发送的 QR code 征集大家的提问与关注的主题。
We have selected 2 core topics based on your input. The first topic for our panel is human autonomy and well-being in digital age.
我们从中精选了2个主题，第一个主题是数位时代的人类自主与幸福感，请讲解们进行分享。
Our team is hard at work. Okay, speakers, we invite you to the stage. Please join me in welcoming our moderator, Dr. Sajana from the International Business Administration Program, to lead this afternoon's panel.
It's very insightful talks. And, you know, each of you in your own way highlighted the power of human agency and human mind. Thank you very much for that. Different perspectives, but very insightful and very provoking, right? We need that for discussion. So we are definitely sure in one thing. We have so many challenges and we have together to collaborate to try actually to create that better future. Thank you all of you joining us today. It was really a pleasure. I hope next time we will have even more participants because I think it's really worthwhile, you know, event in I-SHOU University, and thank you very much for contributing, all of you. I hope you can join us also for this kind of discussion. So, as I mentioned in my short introduction, you know, like you all somehow emphasize the power of human agency. Yes, we talk about technology, we talk about environment, but more or less at the end, we stay as the main decision makers about our future. Luckily, you are young and so energetic. And you know, like, I'm happy that my job is perfect, right? I work with young, energetic, and very insightful people. And you will be the one to create that kind of future. Let me give you the floor because I think you should actually use the stage more than me or maybe some of my colleagues. We should really just be moderators. Let me open the discussion with one, let's say, question that might be for, first of all, you here on the stage, but also maybe some of you can add to this discussion. You know, in a world increasingly shaped by, first of all, technology, but also I think the pressure, right, for perfection. We need to be perfect. So somehow we resist to be imperfect, to be different, to be authentic which I believe is our strongest, right, like way to resist that kind of, avoid this kind of negative scenarios. Also, the world is full of that kind of ideal fit. We have to be ideal to fit, right? Like you mentioned that at the end of your speech. So I want actually to try to collect your ideas, what truly make human beings irreplaceable, and what do you think is really important to have that kind of good, or at least a little bit better future? So, but deeply in human beings. So what do you think that we should pay attention to have that kind of good scenarios, at least personally, if you cannot get what as a society we should do, okay? Let us a little bit collect your individual ideas about what really is the power of human beings that can bring us to the better future. Who would like to start? Maybe Daniel. Daniel, would you like to start? You brought these kind of beautiful risks, and I think we should be more aware of these risks, right? Like Krishna started, right, with this kind of what can go right, right, in the AI era with us, human beings. But then you came with this kind of risks brought by technology, which is really nice to have both sides of the coin. So what do you think? What is really important for that kind of better future?
I think beyond the agency itself. So when we take a choice, now if you believe in free will, that is the topic obviously. But if we believe just for a moment that the idea of what's called determinism. So the idea, it's kind of like the butterfly effect. So a singular choice or a singular circumstance that can change the outcome of your day could eventually change the outcome of your whole life. And so if we understand what like social media kind of does to us, how it can change the way we think about things constantly, and how that algorithm continuously feeds into almost the antithesis of agency. When you keep feeding into a singular idea and it keeps building upon maybe that what you were originally thinking about, it kind of solidifies that foundation, whether right or wrong or even incredibly destructive. So some of the issues I see with, and again, I am no expert. I am simply an average person just kind of looking into a few things. But I think just the basic fundamentals of like ethical and moral philosophy could show us, like, for example, in Dostoevsky's book, what the conveniences do to us as people. It sort of gives us to a point of like passive nihilism, and we start looking at things already in terms of as if a challenge is too challenging, as if difficulty is too difficult to deal with. The growing almost unwillingness to keep your own agency without getting so involved in something that makes it easy, like a chatbot, for example. Something that I know that a number of us here use a little bit too often. Something as simple as the directions to go anywhere. Obviously, before AI, nobody had the ability to do that. So we had our own additional agency, our own motor skills to tell us how to get somewhere. We just either used a map or anything else, and that's just a small part of a motor skill ability that we had back in the day. But if you continuously add those up, where eventually we get to a point where if we lose all of those motor skill agencies that have given us those individual abilities to know something, our own actual epistemology, instead of just constantly asking or questioning yourself, should be the main concern of that's how we get away from agency, is that this continual need of relying on a system that takes away from your own knowledge base.
Okay.
If that makes any sense at all.
Yes, actually, but I have just one small question for you, because you mentioned that kind of mystery of lives,
Yes.
right? Why we are resistant to that idea? Why we try to stay away from that idea that our life should be a little bit mysterious, that we don't need to predict everything, right? Why not to believe that we can survive even though we cannot predict everything? Do you have any idea? Just to have a chat, right? Like, of course you can help us, right? Like, what do you think? Is it a fear? Or is it just kind of lack of self-confidence that we should now maybe try to help individuals?
I think it's kind of indicative of the direction that we keep going, that the idea of something that is convenient, or the idea that easy is better, I think has really ruined us. As like I talked before with just the choice of struggling, as if struggling is a bad thing. And it's obvious to see that, just like before, as any novel or any paper written about somebody is never about the easy times when they had it. That does not build character. Because the struggle and the defiance and the resilience of us as people that really forges us as a species, and that's how we get anywhere. So I think, again, like, why we would choose to want to remove the mystery as if it's this continuation of just a drive to a digital existence. And even though everything is math, we could even get to a point where superintelligence would make it impossible for us to know the difference.
True.
Where if it could learn enough patterns, even the mysteries, that it could turn into a mathematical problem for us. And so I think that's another concern that we should have, is being able to get to a point where we can still differentiate between what is real and what is fake.
Or artificial.
Or artificial.
Or artificial, yes. But I think Tia can also add a little bit, because, like he mentioned that kind of struggle makes a strong character. And your speech was about that. And also very positive. I don't think, Daniel, that we are too negative, that we started too negative. I think we should really take a look on some kind of risks and be aware of that. And thank you very much for bringing this kind of, let's say, like risk for the future that we have to deal with. Tia, what is that kind of strongest part of human agency for the better future?
So I think like the strongest thing of human agency that individual can develop for the better future is about the sustainability. So how they can sustain about their emotions, and also how the pressure in this technology era that has been developing so fast, and it gives us the pressure to be perfect in this technology era. So I think it's about how a human can develop emotions, like sustainability, how everything can be perfect at the same time. But then it's also about like how the great individual can manage themselves, like their dream, also their past. I also want to make it connect with my speech before, like how the past, how we can change it into the better future by, let's don't live in our past, like let's move on by this technology era, like We don't have to look at the back, we have to see the future like that.
Yes, I absolutely agree. You know, I don't know like if most of you know, right? But I come from very small European country with many problems. And, you know, like, yes, environment really defines, you know, to some extent our character. But I also believe, you know, like, even, you know, like, if we don't live in some kind of comfort, it really makes us stronger. So I'm really grateful for all challenges that I actually had in my past, because I think it just contributed to actually my strong character, right? So I'm somehow better prepared for whatever comes in the future. So yes, we all feel excitement and fear about the future. It's just normal, I think, right? But let us hear a little bit, let's say, like more positive about technology, right? And what can be really very good about that kind of technology as a tool. But also your main key word was that we decide, right? Like how we use, right? Like I think how we use and, you know, like how we actually really decide about future development of AI is our critical question, right? So what you can add, what makes our good future?
So when we ask AI a question, it doesn't say, okay, you do this. It gives us options. And it is us who is deciding what to choose from that. Right? It is not like we are not using our human agencies. Right? Our human agencies is the one which developed the AI. Right? We are intelligent enough to make AI. And we have to decide on what AI is just helping us. It's not replacing us. You can take help from that to increase your productivity, not increase your laziness. So you ask AI and you get suggestions and you choose what is best in that. So, and for the future, yes, as I told already, you have to develop skills which, yes, to use AI, how to use AI in a more efficient way. You need to develop those skills so that you are not left behind. And it's not because of AI, it is how this humankind works. New things come and you learn, like how a parent learns when the moment they become parents, they learn how to raise a child, not before that, right? So like that, our child is now AI, and we learn how to use it, how to guide it in correct way. It is not guiding us, we are guiding it.
Yes, we are the final decision makers. Yeah. Just we have to accept. And I cannot agree more with you guys. I think really we need more self-confidence about, you know, my students know many times, because I teach technology and innovation management, and then we discuss a lot about technology, humanity, future, right? And so on and so on. And I think what we miss is self-confidence about what we can really do, what we can really achieve. This is just a supporting tool. So it will not decide for us. We still have to decide. And that's our really superior skill, making good decisions, knowing what is good and what is bad. Yeah, we do many bad things, but we still know, right, what is good and what is bad. Let us keep it for the future. Dastan, what is your somehow main idea? What makes people really strong and promising for the future?
Okay. Before I start, I want to just quickly introduce myself. My name is Dastan, and my English name is Dastan. I'm from Kyrgyzstan. I'm the senior for the IPAI, and I already finished how to project with AI. So I have a project, and I also was TA for my department. And sometimes they ask me how they can improve their ability, like calculating, math, or coding, and of course, it's using the neural model. Neural model kind of like the ChatGPT. Okay, guys, for your audience, I have a question. Most of you use you know the ChatGPT, you know the cloud, right?
Yes.
What is the presentation? What kind of service you use? Gamma AI, right? Okay, so yeah, for the future, how we can view for the AI is a technology. Is it a danger or no? We don't know. Haven't, because there is no like pricing the robot AI pricing. There is no yet. If you want to compare the other technology, nuclear weapon is already happening in Japan, and everyone knows. Oh, it's a danger. That's why we see. That's why we will have some like guarantees, agreements. But how about the AI? Do you hear about the AI agreements? Like USA will stop development or China will stop development. No, right? There's no happen. And how the Daniels connection about the mysteries is kind of like the mysteries. Right now is very, I would say, like, we don't know what will happen in the future. Yeah. And okay, I will also continue. By the way, for AI, we also can use like the assistant, we can help us. And also it's pretty similar, pretty related to my PPT, to my topic about the signals, about the confidence. We human, we are the biological species. We can see each other. We interact each other. I see your signal. I see your signal. About also your signals. When you give me some problems, when you finish some job, it's kind of the signal. Biological signal. But how about the AI? This is also signal, but digital. And sometimes you can lose your confidence. If you will use AI, your ability is not going to be increasing because all work will be done by AI, and confidence also will be less. So what I mean, we must make some rules how we can combine AI and our human
Credibility.
credibility.
Credibility is really good word, and thank you, Dustin, for bringing that word. Trust and credibility are still quite important. We are without all of these challenges, right? We still need to rely on that kind of our own credibility. And I think also authenticity, right? Challenge, struggle. You have some very good keywords for the future that we should a little bit think more about. But then let me give now the floor to Bhumisha, right? It's really important, you know, I was really excited, you know, listening your talks, and I was excited and I felt some kind of like a fear, but a small one, right? Like what will happen? But somehow you made me really confident that everything will be okay. You are smart, you know what you are doing, and the future belongs to you. You are young people, right? You will shape it. You will define how we will use all that very development, you know, like, and develop technology. But, you know, thank you very much for bringing that kind of data governance and that kind of policy makers in this kind of game. Talking about rules, some laws that are also very important, right? Like how we should make a bridge between people, users, their daily life, policymakers, and technology developers, right? We should bridge. All of us, we belong to one ecosystem, not to different ecosystems. We have only one planet. We have only one world. So we should sit together. Thank you very much for bringing that kind of important idea that we should sit together and from different perspectives, we should discuss that. What might be your main idea for bringing that kind of good future for all of us?
Thank you for the question. So for answering your question, I think it's very important to frame these frameworks, rules, and regulations for the artificial intelligence, because this system is making major life-changing decisions for the human community. As you said, decision making is a powerful soft power for humans, and why are we giving that power to a system that's not even having an empathy, feeling, nothing? So it's very important to understand that decision making is a fundamental right of every human being, and we have to use it. Because I want to give you an example. So we know that weather forecasting, what happens in weather forecasting is you give the past training data and the system will predict if it's going to rain tomorrow or not. But most of the time, like I still remember, we used to sit in front of the television waiting, is it the holiday tomorrow or not? And they say it's holiday tomorrow because it's a red alert, but the very next day there is no rain. So the thing is, we humans have something that AI doesn't, is experience, perspectives. We can adapt to in a really day-to-day basis. For example, I came to Taiwan from India and it took me some time to adopt, and I'm doing very good. But for a system, it takes a very high time complexity. It depends on the data. If the data is more, it's going to take. And there's one system which my friend told me about is recursive models. Now, this doesn't need past data to be trained. However, if you don't set the proper boundary, it is a waste of computer resources. So, to me, I feel like it's very important to set these boundaries, laws and regulations so that this powerful technology benefits each and everybody in the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, let us continue because we still have some time, right? You will tell us when we are out of the time. Good. Okay.
I have a question for
Yes.
Alicia. Like, as you said, we have the ability to make decisions and we should use it. But the number of decisions taken is increasing day by day, right?
Right.
For example, if I'm a teacher, before I have 20 students, now the population is increasing, and then imagine I have 60 students and I have to grade each one of them. So do you think we cannot use, and imagine having a system which can help me with that. So it saves my time, I can prepare more things for my students, right? Do you think we should not use that system to do such things?
I really want to answer that question. So I built a grading tool, as I introduced, Grademaster AI. So I made this tool. Before making this tool, I went to 3 types of schools: metric, CBSE, international schools. I wanted to understand, I want to put myself into the shoes of the teachers to understand what problem are they facing. So they told me, Bhumisha, so I need to grade 60 answer sheets in one day, and it's very stressful. And I thought, yes, it is stressful because teachers are supposed to teach us, give us the knowledge, and why are they? So I wanted to make their work easier. So I made this tool. As you said, it's AI-driven tool where the teacher are just supposed to upload the papers and the AI is going to do all the things that the teachers are going. It's going to grade the paper and it's going to give you the stats of which question is wrong, which question is right. So the students can go through which question is wrong and they can go to the next exam confidently. However, I made this tool human-centric with the override button. If the teacher thinks that this mark is not my judgment, I am not satisfied with it, that's their final say. The final call, the final authority will be always in the hands of human beings. So today, as you said, we are in a world with a companionship between artificial intelligence and human beings. But tomorrow, if we let this power slip, the AI is going to take over our places. Thank you.
Oh, good. Let me a little bit. Is it okay?
Yes,
Like the answer?
Let's make sure that we don't compete each other. when we combine AI power and human
Yes,
power.
partnership is probably
Yes.
a key. But I wouldn't like just to discuss technology and especially AI. Yes, AI is the technology of our life, it's quite obvious, but I think we shouldn't limit our discussion on technology only. I think I would like a little bit to address something that are our strengths as human beings, right? What you feel as your, let's say, strength, but as a human being. Even, or let's say, with or without technology, because I think we miss a lot of empathy in this world. We miss a lot of understanding of diversity. We talk so much about diversity. And I think we collect more data, we produce more knowledge, but we understand less. It's like a paradox, also brought by technology, because we can now produce more, but never mind, we still understand less. So I want now, forget about technology, just think about human beings. So what might be your critical strength in human beings for that kind of good future? Like can be really short, can be even like a keyword, like authenticity, like diversity, what we should really nurture more to, let's say, like live that kind of better life. Whatever does it mean to us, I think even that is different. Dustin, please.
Professor Sardar, yeah. The main topic is being the human. Being the human. But my question is, because AI is technology and it's also, we can say that it's a progress. How we can stop the progress?
We cannot.
We cannot, yeah.
We cannot.
And that says maybe it should like big crisis or something like big war between, who knows? Maybe after that it will be stopped, but we're not right now.
Yeah, I think Krishna was quite right? Historically, we have been able to survive in many challenging times. So let's hope, right? Like we still have many strengths. So I'm quite interested. You are a young generation. What do you think are our strengths?
I think imperfectionism is our strength. Everyone is so scared about imperfectionism. Everyone wants to fit in the system, like perfect, be perfect. But I think as an engineer, before iteration, AI optimizes a solution. If you need to iterate a solution, you need to first understand, accept that you are wrong, and then only you can do it. But AI is not gonna, it's gonna give you a final solution. So I think the most important thing that we all need to embrace today is imperfectionism. Imperfections.
Okay. It somehow resonates with you, Daniel, right? Like we don't need to. Yes, of course. Yes, microphone. Thank you.
So for those of you who want to ask questions, I was asking around and a few of you said yes. So the first question goes to...
Hello, good day everyone. My question is, because there's been an ethical issue going around about AI in relation with artists. AI and artists, like artists, singers and other artists. Like AI, the AI nowadays can replicate any artist's voice and other artworks. So my question is, what can you say about this issue?
For that one, I think the answer is very simple. That one thing that AI cannot replace in those kind of the art, like film, is about emotions and feelings. When we watch a drama, like K-drama, the actor, the actress we can feel their emotions, they showing, like they acted. We can feel what are they feeling, what are they showing. But I watched a lot of AI made film, and it's like no emotion at all. There's a message, but no emotions. Thanks, Dad.
Agree, CJ, with us? So.
We welcome any questions or even feedback, or if you just want to join the discussion and just share what you think about this.
A wonderful afternoon. First of all, I would like to congratulate all the speakers for a very wonderful job at presenting their speeches regarding their journey for tomorrow. Please give them a hand, please.
Yes, true.
Okay, so my question is related to a conference that I attended at my job last year. So this is a talk regarding about the AI connected with the future. And the speakers were AMD's VP of Technology, Raja Swaminathan, and also Amazon's Web Services Superior, which is Babak. And I would like to ask a question regarding this, because one of the main topics that was talked about during that conference was that how AI affects the environment. Because with AI, we have databases and data centers. And with this, it also affects our environment, because not only does it compete with the water, electricity, but it also competes with the land that we still have. So may I please ask some of our speakers to please present their thoughts regarding this topic with the AI and their issues with the environment for our future. Thank you very much.
So in regards to what you said directly with the amount of electricity that these data centers are using, there was a direct example in one of the states in America where XAI was putting a data center. And they, long story short, they basically tapped into the power that they could utilize from that place and then maxed it out when they had to bring in these turbines. And I think there was something like 20 or 30 or 40 of these turbines running basically 24/7 of completely unregulated emissions. And some of the locals were complaining about even the smell difference in their community. And that goes to show you that, like I said before, the propensity of human selfishness when you're the one holding all the keys, it's convenient when you also now happen to control the EPA. When you can deregulate the EPA for this immediate cause that the whole country needs to get behind. And I think that's also beyond our environment is what it's forcing our economy to do. Superintelligence seems to be like a walking platform at half the speed of light. And whichever country gets to scratch and fight and crawl their way to that walking platform first, if you reach the speed of light, it almost doesn't matter how far somebody is behind you. You will be so much farther ahead of them, even in a matter of months, of the amount of information and power that you would have. And so at the destruction of our own environment, we're trying to prove to all of our citizens that this is worth going for, regardless of how many things we destroy, regardless of the fact that we can't even support that type of power grid in most of these places, not to mention what it's done to the GPU market entirely. I don't know if anybody's a gamer here, but the cost of RAM, the fact that none of you are going to get a 5090 anymore, if that doesn't mean anything, don't worry. Those have all been pre-purchased by governments and other agencies that we as consumers will never be able to compete with. So I think that should show us a pretty good idea of what people in positions of power are willing to do regardless of how anybody else feels about it. Anyways, thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, I do have a question. But before this part, I'd like to say good afternoon to everyone, especially to our speakers for today. So I'll be focusing my question into our topic, which is, I believe it's the human autonomy and well-being in the digital age. Okay. Are we audible in your end? Audible, okay, that's good. So my question goes like this. Since we already live in a world where technology and advancement is already here. So, and it's learning as well every day, every millisecond and second in our world. My question goes like this. If you could redesign one aspect of artificial intelligence today, what would you change to better protect human autonomy? So I'd like to repeat my question again, if it's okay with everyone, or you can answer it right away. What do you think?
Interesting, right?
If you redesign one aspect of AI to protect human autonomy, what would it be?
Thank you for the question. And my suggestion is that when the system, as in Bhumisha's speech, you could have seen many times that the system went wrong and they had to abandon the system, abandon that model. They cannot reuse it, they just abandoned it. But I think one aspect we can add is that to find out where the system went wrong. And as AI engineers, we are working towards it so that when a system is giving, like I'm getting a doubt, is that system, can that answer be justified? So just I can look into it. So increasing the transparency is one thing which I believe that we have to add, or we have to add in AI, and we are working towards it, and I hope really soon we have it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your insightful answers as well.
Daniel, yes, just wait a little bit for Daniel. We have a little bit more answers. Yes, just to add, feel free.
I think that trying to change one aspect of it is a very difficult idea when it's also self-learning, and it seems to be progress that is like trying to hold back a tidal wave. I don't know if we actually possess within our own capabilities a true wanting to limit this technology, even if we held it back an additional 10 years to study it more. I don't think our minds are completely capable of something that will eventually reach a superintelligence level. I don't think we will ever truly get to that point. If we take a graph of where we're at as an average person, and then take Sir Isaac Newton or Albert Einstein, but if we extend that graph out to where maybe like a chicken would be hopefully a little bit farther down than the average person, we have no idea how to graph what superintelligence means on that scale. We have no idea how far away that is from us. We've never worked with anything like this before. So trying to say that, if we could somehow remove one of the aspects of it to better suit us and our autonomy, I think is simply trying to just hold back a flood. I think it's almost impossible. But we would look at that as the need for progress, and we hide behind this idea of these progressive ideas as if progress always means better. And I think we confuse those two words constantly.
Progress or better. Yeah, I can add, and then we'll, let's say, have your another question. What I'm thinking about, I somehow really don't see a big difference between myself, as a student, that was really a long time ago. I will not reveal, right? You know my age, CJ, now, but yes, it was really long ago. So I was a student without internet, almost without computers. So that means actually, a teacher was really a master and the owner of the overall, let's say, educational space. So my main source was just that kind of textbook, more or less in my language, right? Like written by my professor, no one else. We couldn't actually go to the States and buy, no Amazon, no buying books, just library with some additional books and teacher. So if you miss the class, you can just make a copy of notes of your classmates. So, but I still don't think that my students now are not as smart as I was as a student, also very young, or also having that kind of motivation to learn and grow. I don't think so. Yes, they have different tools they use, so I had to rely maybe more on collaboration and partnership with my colleagues and friends. Maybe you will also discover the points where you have to get back to people again a little bit more, but I don't think that there is a huge difference. Sometimes in the past, I always ask myself, is it really now too easy for students? I don't think so. I think there are other challenges and we just have to cope with that. But my maybe additional point to that, how we can redesign AI, is maybe redefining values. What is really a value that we want to create? And then technology, AI, whoever will follow us. But maybe we should think. So recently, I have been really committed to thinking about what is really value in my life? What is really value of my career? What is valuable in whatever I want to achieve, right? So that brings me back. So that's just my thinking. It doesn't need to resonate with any of you. But I'm definitely now sure, like every generation, and we have our challenges, and we have to find the way, right, to, let's say, like overcome everything in front of us, okay? Would you like to add something? No? Okay. Then the rest of your question. Can we hear the rest of your question?
Okay, so for just the last one, I have one last question. What is a question that still lingers in your mind in regard to your topic that have not been asked yet? So try to think a question in regards to your topic that have not been asked yet, and try to answer it.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So instead of us, let's say, challenging you as the main speakers today, let you pose the question that are important to be answered. Maybe not now, but, right? That was the idea, right? They should pose the question. Pose the question that is important. My question is value, redefining value. I think we should think more about that. That would be my main question for future. Pose your. Yes, just feel free.
When you mention about it's very great, when we made the other AI will be evaluate us, of course not. Why? Because it's a market. Market will decide which AI should be, which AI is for benefit. So I think it's impossible actually. If some company wanted to make the other AI will evaluate us, it will be not successful company actually. Why we have ChatGPT, Cloud, and others? Because it's a market. Because people wanted to use the AI.
Yes.
But for your professor, yes, I can understand. But for majority people, no.
2. Question. Question.
Okay.
Do you have any question
No.
that should be answered or critically think about?
Because, okay, we are the speaker, we are the audience, we are the people, but we are not decided for the future. Who will decide it is the politicals, the most influenced people who is in power.
Money.
The money, right?
Money, money,
Yes.
money.
And my question for all of us, not only me, how we can stop progress? How we can stop progress?
Progress.
Progress, yes. We cannot, right? Because, okay, I will give you an example. Some country, we have 2 countries. It's a peaceful countries. If someone will start war, other countries, they already have plan. Like, step 1, we will prepare. Step 2, we will arm people. I mean, like, the protocols. Do you have protocols if AI will uprise them? Do you hear about some kind of doctrine, protocols, how we can, I mean, like, if AI will uprise them, what we will do?
Yes.
For the first step, yeah, this is my question. Do you have some kind of agreements?
Yeah, let us think about that, right? Next one.
The question I have been thinking for some time is that when an automatic car, like a car, gets into an accident, who is responsible for that? Is that the government, or is it the owner, or is the manufacturer, or is the driver?
Yes.
That's my question.
Question? Yes. Let us just think. Leave us to think a little bit. That's done.
So my question based on my speech is about curiosity. So the simple question, but you have to think about yourself is, are you doing the good thing right now? Are you doing the right thing right now? So the simple example is like, when someone make a mistake and the others blame them, and they might say like, I'm sorry, I didn't know I raised by this kind of family, so I didn't know this kind of thing is wrong. But I'm asking you right now, like, you have to be curious. What is good and what is the bad thing? So are you doing the right thing right now?
Good. Daniel, and then we will close with, take the microphone. Or,
I just lost track of the actual question. What was it again? What was the question?
no, we should make our own questions that are important, right, to be answered, or at least to search for appropriate answers. What you think is important as a question.
I'll give you another question. Now, in regards to who is at fault for an auto accident, the idea that you are driving AI yourself is a facade. The people who are driving AI you don't see, you don't get to talk to. It is hidden behind the governance of AI. The end users is like saying that if you were an end user to a drug itself, you don't control the drug market. It's simply available. Now, as we all know, money will drive a market. The supply and demand for anything, regardless of whether you think we should have it or not, the demand is going to prove whether or not you even get to choose. So I think this is the importance of coming back to agency. The problem of even having your own agency and choosing not to use it is that you don't control it as a singular user. Like most of these programs are most likely getting sent over to governments, military, contracts that you can't even imagine to afford or think about the numbers. So the idea that just us alone can control the future of AI completely misses the direct point, is that the people who are in charge of AI are not going to give up that power simply for the betterment of the rest of us. That might be pessimistic, but given the history of where the wealth is, AI is going to follow.
True, true. But again, you know, like, we need to redefine the values, right? So that money maybe is not the main driver of everything. Question for the future.
For the future. Well, my question is a bit technical. So we all know perceptron. Perceptron is a mutation of the human brain in the AI system. So the perceptron itself has a bias. So it is one of the factors how a decision is made by artificial intelligence. In that case, how can we verify if a data is biased or not? So no one till today has answered to this question. So if that's the case, in the tables in the United Nations, who will answer this question? Is that the policy advisors or the technical architects or the scientific panelists who will answer this question?
Thank you. Thank you. Very important as well. So, any other question?
Professor, we only have 7 more minutes before we close the event, so at most we can only accept 2 more questions.
Okay.
So for those of you, the last 2 questions.
1, 2. Okay.
Hello everyone, thank you for such a beautiful speeches. So here, I'm Anthony. Thank you for all the questions. Like actually, all of your questions make me also question. Especially so, as AI actually reshapes the environment, specifically the industry. So is it genuinely or actually improving the opportunities for the everyday workers' life, or it's more into mainly increasing the control or profit for those who hold the power of AI? So let me repeat the question. As AI reshapes the industry, is it genuinely improving the opportunities for everyday workers, or mainly increasing the opportunities of profit for those who have the power of AI?
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Easy, right?
Okay. Thank you, Andy, for your question. And actually, right, yeah, this will reshape our manufacturers companies. But your question is, to be honest, general. It depends what kind of purpose. Someone will be less. Someone, okay, just replace. There is no people working. This will be working just AI, right? And how I said before, it all depends on human benefits. If benefits will be more like, okay, I have an assistant, and also at the same time I have an AI assistant, and AI assistant is working very better. How do you think? Which one I will choose? AI, and AI will replacing the real human assistant. But another way.
I will use the human being.
Yes. So yeah, it's the first example. The second example. Let's say I really like the human-made paints. Can I? Yeah. I really like the human-made paints. Can I replace this by AI? No, of course no. So as I said before, it depends on humans' desire, humans' benefits. Thank you.
Yes. Briefly, if someone else would like to add, is it for profit? Yeah, here, yeah.
Right, hello everyone. So actually, I'm really grateful for this talk. I'm actually enjoying all the different discussions that you guys are having. So actually, my question or my thoughts is actually quite different. It's a bit like philosophical, I suppose. So what's your perspective about the concept of AI being conscious? You know, one of the benefits of having human consciousness is I can express my thoughts while adding 1 + 1 or visualizing my future, while also thinking about my homework submission for today. So what is your perspective about this?
Danger. Simply one word, AI being conscious is equal to danger. The only thing that is the one step away from the end of everything. So we are controlling, as I already said, I think I'm the one who's going to be in danger because I said AI isn't the one that answers to us, it submits to us. So basically, we ask AI to do everything for us, every single task. So tomorrow, if it gets consciousness, it's gonna demand salary from you. It's gonna demand just like human. I need right. Then you're gonna have ethics and rules just for artificial government for AI, and it is happening. If you see Mold Book, just for AI agents. It's not for humans. It's just for AI agents, and they are literally having a conversation in real time that humans are reading our messages. Maybe we should have a secret code language or something. So if AI has consciousness, it's just one step away from danger.
Danger. Danger. Agree? Agree? No? So see, it's somehow we are going to some kind of companionship with human beings, agents, robots, right? Like, it will be some kind of intellectual companionship. But you know, I expected this discussion to be more about smiles, hugs, shaking hands, right? And what we got is a lot of talks about artificial intelligence. That's some kind of, let's say, like generation, right? Because I still highly value, really, hugs and touch and smile. I still read assignments from my students because I get to know them better. That's my impression. It doesn't mean that AI, let's say some kind of options offered in grading students is necessarily bad, but that's my choice. I like to know my students well, so I like to read through their answers. It seems to me that then I know who they are, right? But it's my choice, right? Let me just try to conclude. You know, like, even this was a little bit surprising to me. I really, my intention was to guide you, you know, like, what is the power of people and human being, right? And somehow you like to talk about the contribution of technology. Thank you very much, Daniel, for that kind of a little bit pessimistic spices. We need to think about that. It's not just all brilliant, or at least it will not be for all of us. So it will not be better for all of us. We have to think about that kind of 800 million of people that will definitely lose jobs. Yes, many more will be created. That's fantastic news to know, but I still believe that, you know, we have limited time for that reskilling and transition. That's our main job to do in the future, to do that transition on time. Otherwise, we will face some challenges, right? And I think we lack some kind of, we have leadership crisis as well. I think it's more about leadership as well. We need to talk about that as well. But I think your talks are so amazing. And you know, this discussion brought us to another level of discussion. And I believe we will continue, have more these kind of open discussions. It's important. And everyone should feel responsible. Because I think now people think, oh, it's not my responsibility. Let me, you know, just to enjoy my life, right? And use that technology in some way I need it. So I think we should all feel responsible, at least what I feel as the main part of my job, just being in education, an educator, I really like to say to everyone, you and you and you and you and you and all of us, we are responsible. We have to do something. We can contribute. No matter what is our job, we can contribute. That's our choice. You told me in your talks that we have our choice. That's our decision, right? Can we agree at least about that today? That it's our final decision, right? That's human being final decision, and we have choice. And we should, let's say, like, keep our freedom to make our choices, right? And to feel responsible enough, right? Thank you very much.
Professor. Thank you very much.
I'm not professor here. I'm just like you guys, just having some thoughts about future, right? And thank you very much. Your talks were so amazing. You know, like I am every time again and again amazed what students can do, right? With a lot of preparation, right? A lot of preparation. Thank you very much. You brought so many brilliant ideas. Thank you. Thank you as well for inspiring questions. I hope we were quite good enough, right, to answer your questions. Thank you.
That was an incredibly insightful discussion to end on. It's clear that while technology provides the tools, it's our collective values that must provide the direction.
这是一个非常精彩的总结性讨论。显然，尽管技术提供了工具，但必须由我们的共同价值来指引方向。
This concludes our audience-led segments. Speakers, thank you for your time and expertise today. Audience, thank you for your active engagement and for shaping the direction of this panel.
我们的观众互动环节到此结束。